Some of the fruit in the garden is really almost in season already. This cooking apple, which we grow at the bottom of the vegetable border, has the Paul's Himalayan musk rose almost swamping it now. But just look at some of that fruit up the top. Let's go around the other side. I can maybe show it you better from there. Yeah, much better from this angle. I'll show you up over the tree. May give you some impression of the volume of fruit this tree carries. And they're big things as well. Let's look, if I put my hand in there, good cooking apple size. I'm not certain on the variety of this, so any help or feedback would be appreciated. It's an early maturing cooking apple, and it's yellow when ripe, and the flesh, once cooked, is extremely fluffy. And by that I mean it doesn't hold its shape like a Bramley when you cook it. It goes to a mush with sugar, but it's very pleasant and a very nice general early cooking apple. It's nice to have this one usually by the end of August into September. Doesn't keep, so we have to use them in season, this one, unlike a Bramley that we can store in cold pantries here right the way through to about April the following year. This one only has a shelf life once picked of a couple of weeks before it browns off. This little young tree next to it is a Bramley seedling. It's not doing well this year, to be fair. Too dry for it, not a big enough tree to have the resilience, and as a result the fruit on it is pretty miserable and small. Don't think there's a decent apple on this tree. I'll probably continue to drop for a period. There's even some rot on it, look. That should go on a bonfire. But it's a young tree, and you can't expect them to do particularly well when they go through a stressful year as these ones are. And the one next to it's doing equally badly. Hasn't really had a proper June drop, this. Look, there's lots of tiny little fruits on this, all of which are deformed. And the fruit on the end, if I just put my hand in there, give you some indication of the small size of this. This again is a Bramley, but not having a good season. There's going to be very little in the way of usable fruit on that. But it's growing on, it's holding its leaf, which is a good thing, and hopefully now it might get a bit of water to improve it. I've got something much better to show you just around the corner, and that's the culinary pear tree crop. This pear tree has probably been in this little orchard now for around 25-30 years. It's planted before we purchased the house, so we don't know the actual variety, but every year it sets a fantastic crop of pears, but usually they're pretty small and weedy, and there's a lot of pear scab on it. And by pear scab we just mean this discoloration and markings on the fruit that do tend to reduce its attractiveness. But this is a culinary pear as opposed to a dessert pear, which means it forms only small sized fruit. If I put my hand in there, you'll see it's like a medium sized pear. Not bad, that's a beautiful one, that. And these are designed, grown for cooking with or bottling. Now last year what we did with this tree was take the top right down, because pears have a tendency to go straight up, and straight up is the main power cables coming onto this land, which we didn't want to have to start worrying about with the cables wearing on them. So this tree was cut quite hard back, and you can probably get a glimpse in there of the top uprights, which were probably about 4 inches thick. The new growth trying to replace them's going straight up again, but as a consequence of taking the top half of this tree out, the bottom half, the fruit on it this year has been spectacular, and we're getting some beautiful looking clean pears. In fact, we're getting so much fruit and such heavy fruit that a lot of these boughs are really in danger of breaking off. Now, a culinary pear like this will ripen very quickly and all this fruit will drop over a matter of around a fortnight if it's not harvested. So getting the timing right of when to pick the fruit and use it is quite important. You're going to have to watch yourself, because any damage on this from the birds eating it, the wasps are going to come in here with a vengeance. And that's not just fruit on the tree that's going to be affected, but anything that falls down onto the base here will pretty rapidly fill up with wasps. You can tell when the fruits start to ripen, they get a little bit soft. These fruits are still rock hard. They're starting to colour up. You just see the orange peachy tinge just coming in this. They won't go particularly red, but they will lose their greenness and show a bit of colour as they ripen up. And that's the time to pick this crop while it's still quite firm, before it's ripe to eat as a dessert pear would normally be. And these are ideal for either doing as cooked pears, bottled pears, or some other form of recipe that calls for a firm pear. Now we've got a little bit of footage to show you, because we were wondering what was doing this to the lower boughs on this pear. I was all for blaming the rabbits in the garden, until I spotted out of the top window on the landing the culprits. We're going to show you that little bit of footage just to give you an idea of what we're competing with for this pear crop in this garden.